What is up, guys? It is your boy Kazak here, and today I'm back at y'all with another JRPG video where I'm going to be giving you guys some experiences and my thoughts on JRPGs I've been playing recently. Some of them are going to be older releases, some of them are going to be newer releases as well, so there's a little bit of variety of both in here. And I also have not finished every single one of these games. Some of these games are still in progress. I'm still working my way through them and enjoying them and playing them at my own pace. So just keep in mind the things I say about some of these certain games is not entirely definitive. So my opinion may change or my opinion may still stay the same about them even if I do beat them later on or whatever. Just know that this is everything I say here is just completely based off of how I'm feeling right now instead of it being like completely definitive. So I just wanted to put that out there. So let's actually talk about some of the JRPGs I've been playing, right? So first game I have up here is Visions of Mana. Now, Visions of Mana is a game that I actually did my very first video on, which was an impression video where I talked about the game and the demo version of it and how I was feeling about it. However, at that time, if I'm being completely blunt here, I wasn't really all that much confident about this game. Like, something about this game just felt very off to me. Like, the combat was very simplistic. The voice acting was just okay-ish. The frame rate had a little bit of drops and issues here and there. And it just didn't really give me high confidence about it. Like, I thought that this was going to be a entry that I wouldn't find myself liking all that much. Especially with like my prior experiences with Trials of Mana, the remake, which I did play, and I didn't really like that one all that much. I felt like the story was too basic. The characters really didn't have that much personality, and the overall game itself just felt way too simplistic for my taste. And I know that's just kind of how Mana games are. They are meant to cater to more the old school JRPG players that like the simplicity and stuff of JRPGs back then. But for me personally, when it comes to my JRPGs, I just like having a deeper storytelling, a deeper analysis of the characters and their development and who they are as overall people and stuff like that. I'm somebody who likes my JRPGs to have a little bit more substance, And Trials of Mana didn't really have enough substance for me to really appreciate it or enjoy it. It's not a bad game by any means, but I just found it completely forgettable. However, with Visions of Mana, when I actually got it on Christmas and decided to play it and beat it, I poured over like 50 plus hours into it. I ended up enjoying Visions of Mana way more than I was expecting to be honest with you guys. The story was pretty solid. Well, it was kind of solid. Like, there were some things in there that kind of felt a little out of place, or some plot points that came out of nowhere, and the pacing was a little weird in some areas. But overall, the story was generally enjoyable, and I do appreciate that this was a more self-contained, focused storyline rather than how it was in Trials of Mana, where there was like a whole bunch of stories and stuff, but didn't really have much of a payoff, in my opinion. Character-wise, they actually do have a personality. I pretty much like most of the cast here. Some of them are a little okay-ish. They don't really have the best personalities in the world, but I do appreciate characters like Karina. I found her to be pretty funny and enjoyable throughout the game. Morley is a pretty fun character. Val is a entertaining protagonist as well. And I'm not going to spoil any part of the story for those of you who want to experience it, but let me just say this dude Val has a pretty bad time, okay? Like, you end up feeling really bad for this dude later on in the story. But, outside of that, gameplay-wise, I was pretty impressed by it as well, where, like, you have, like, the different class systems, and you can switch between them at any point in time with any of your characters. And you have, like, these little elemental vessels or items that you can use in battle that do different techniques and utilities and everything. Like, one of them allows you to stop time for a couple of seconds, while the other, you spray like water on the enemies and stuff like that. It takes like such a good amount of damage. The gameplay is very innovative and pretty fun. It's not anything too crazy or out of this world, but it's creative and it's fun. And I enjoy it. I like the combat system. Honestly, kind of boring. It was actually quite addicting to just jump into battles and try out different party combinations and setups with the classes and all that good stuff. So yeah, when it comes to Visions of Mana, I actually enjoyed it way more than I was expecting to. And honestly, if you haven't played it, I think you should. It's a pretty solid JRPG experience. If I had to rate it, probably give it like a good 7 out of 10. Pretty solid so far. So, next up, we have the game that everyone and their grandmother has probably been talking about, and that is Metaphor ReFantazio. And I've been very excited to get my hands on this because I played the demo version and I freaking loved it. I actually did a first impressions video. If you want more details on how I felt about it and everything, you should definitely watch that video. But yeah, I'm only 20 hours into the game so far, so I haven't played too much of it. But from what I've played and gone through in the story so far, this game is absolutely great. I mean, I love the characters. Hulkenberg, she's a great waifu character. Stro is like your cool homie character. And I also came across another party member here. I'm not going to spoil who he is yet. But so far the story is very compelling. There's a lot of dark elements to it. I'm honestly surprised, like, with how much dark elements are in this game. I'm actually shocked that this game actually got a rated T rating now that I'm looking at it. Like, Persona games always get a rated M rating, but somehow this game gets rated T for teens and all that stuff, even though it's talking about way more mature and even controversial topics and stuff like that. Kind of surprised by that. I don't know what was going on there. This definitely should have been rated M in my opinion, but hey, I'm not mad at it. But no, outside of that, the game itself looks amazing. Some people say that it does, like, graphically it's not the most amazing thing in the world, but you know, in my opinion, a style holds up way more than the actual graphics themselves. Like, you know, you can have realistic graphics all you want, but for me, I think that having a game that's more stylistic with its art style and it complements the graphics, it ends up making the game look way better, and it makes it age better, in my opinion, to be more specific. It makes it age a lot better than some games that have like realistic graphics, but then over time they just start to look worse and worse because like the technology is always getting progressively better at it and stuff, you know. And you know, style, it has a lot of style. There's also a good amount of substance to its narrative and story. I appreciate a lot of the you know, playing around with the whole fantasy concepts on top of the whole like the politics and all that stuff. I find that to be interesting and how they sort of touch on those subjects and the religion and everything. I find all that very intriguing and interesting and all that good stuff. Gameplay wise, I love the turn-based / action hybrid. I love the fact that you actually just get to hit enemies when they're too weak, and it feels very satisfying to do. Turn-based combat is still very much alive in this game. It is absolutely amazing, you know, because in this game you have like little like versions. They call them archetypes, but they are kind of like your personas in a way. Except unlike in the Persona franchise, where like in Persona your main character can have like up to like 12 different personas and all this other stuff. All your characters can have different archetypes that they can choose and pick from at any point in time. So all your characters can have different classes and different weapons and stuff they can utilize, and magic and all that great stuff. And I really love when JRPGs have that. I love when JRPGs give me a lot of different customization options and ways to tackle on enemies and bosses in so many different ways and stuff like that. That's something that I truly love when it comes to JRPGs, and I value that very, very highly. So yeah, Metaphor, it's been a great freaking time, and I'm probably going to be playing more of it once I get done with this video, actually. Alright, so what's the next game? Oh, okay, we got Tales of Arise. Funny enough, I actually did beat this game already. I beat this game. I platinumed it. I got all the achievements and stuff. I did everything, but I figured I'd just do a second playthrough because like it was cheap on Steam. So I just figured that, you know what, might as well give it another second playthrough. And I still enjoy it. The game is fantastic. Although I haven't seen a lot of like people kind of like shitting on this game now. It's actually kind of weird. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on with all that. It seems like a lot of people are really, not everyone, because I know there's still a lot of people that still enjoy Arise, but I'm kind of seeing there is like a lot of weird negativity that's all of a sudden being pushed towards this game. One of the more prominent complaints I have heard was that it didn't feel like a Tales game, and I kind of just like shake my head. I'm like, huh? It's like it's one of the weirdest complaints because Tales of Arise is still very much a Tales game. there's still skits, there's still the action turn-based combat system. The characters are still have a good amount of charm to them, are very much likable. And it still has a lot of the traditional things that makes a Tales game a Tales game. And I always just kind of found that strange that people say that too. Also because of the fact that Tales games are always changing. They're always changing up something or doing something different with each and every entry. So I just didn't understand that complaint. In my opinion, Tales of Arise is still a very much solid Tales game. Now I will admit that the later half of the game is kind of undercooked. There was a lot of things in that story that could have been done way better during the second half. A lot of plot points just get popped up out of nowhere, and it feels very sudden and random, which I understand. But outside of that, Arise is pretty great. The game has the visuals look amazing for it. The exploration, I still enjoy it. To me, Arise definitely feels like the Tales entry that it needed a game like Tales of Arise in order to truly evolve and at least push it into a better direction than what games like Susteria and them were doing. And it just did a lot of things right for me, in my personal opinion. Combat was amazing. Characters, once again, are just really likable and fun. The music is also pretty good too. Although that is one thing I do wish that Tales games would do better in. I do wish that the music was a little bit more varied and a little bit more. They have a little bit more variety to them, because a lot of some of the newer Tales games have very kind of generic sounding music. I mean, in Arise, it's still pretty good. There's some tracks in here that are actually good, but sometimes they do too much orchestral stuff that, in my opinion, I just kind of like how in older Tales games there was a cool variety of different music and OSTs that had different instruments and everything of the sort. I'm just asking for something a little bit more interesting when it comes to the OST. But outside of that, though, Arise, I mean, it's still a good game. It's still pretty solid. Even if it's not the perfect Tales game in the world, I still feel like Arise does deserve its props and praise for just being a all-around solid JRPG experience. Even if you're not a Tales fan, I think a lot newer fans could jump into Arise and still appreciate a lot of the things that it has. There's a lot of value to this game, and I feel like that Arise is kind of being hated on because of the fact that it is the newest entry and it does do things differently from past entries, which I think is a little bit odd. But that's just how I feel. Maybe I'm missing some things, or maybe there's some points that I'm kind of misconstruing or whatever. I don't know. If you're somebody who didn't enjoy Tales of Arise, let me know why. Or even if you're somebody who enjoyed Tales of Arise, let me know why you love the game so much or you enjoy it. Again, either way, I'll listen to the comment section, and I'll try to listen and get a better understanding of what the complaints are if you guys choose to comment them. That's just how I feel. Alright, so next up we got the Mega Man Legacy Battle Network. I completely messed up that title, Jesus. Next up we got the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. This is probably the one collection I spent probably over 300 hours in recently. I mean, I've been playing this game so much that it's kind of became a comfort game of mine. I always put up Mega Man Battle Network 3 or 4 or 5. Not Battle Network 4. Battle Network 4 was not good, but Battle Network 6, is actually really great. And overall, I've been a big Mega Man fan ever since for as long as I can remember. I played the classic games. I played X. I played Zero, ZX, Legends, Battle Network, and Star Force. So I pretty much played each and every single one of these Battle Network games. But the one series that I never really had that much experience with was the Battle Network games. Because even though I did grow up with Battle Network. I played Battle Network 3 and 5, and I watched the TV show, which was also pretty decent, actually. I never really played each and every single game, which was kind of strange, because I loved Battle Network back then, but I just never felt compelled enough to play the whole entire games. But now that this collection has came out, I've been revisiting a lot of these older games that I missed out on, and it's been such a blast. I've loved going back to some of these games. I even found some new favorites, like Battle Network 2 is pretty good. That's up there as one of my favorite Battle Network games. Especially Battle Network 6. Man, Battle Network 6 has so much replayability and fun content in there that there's just so much to love and explore about that game. There's also like an online PvP mode too, where you can battle with your friends and fight against each other and all that cool stuff. This game is just really freaking fun. If you are a Mega Man fan by any means, then I highly recommend that you guys pick up this Battle Network collection. You will love it, especially if you're a big fan of like JRPGs and like the battle chip / card collecting aspect of it and stuff. You're really going to enjoy Battle Network quite a lot, and I highly recommend it. It's honestly one of my favorite releases that has came out in recent memory, and I've just been loving it. Like, yeah, it's a re-release of just a bunch of old GBA games, but who cares, okay? They came out, they're still pretty recent, still pretty fresh, and I absolutely enjoy it. And once again, Capcom, if you guys make a Battle Network 7 or a Legends 3, I'll take either one. Although preferably, I just want a Mega Man Legends collection. If you do that, I'll buy 40 copies of it, okay? Finally, not least, we have Star Ocean: The Second Story Arc, which I've been replaying on my Nintendo Switch, and it is an absolute blast to play. Again, this is probably one of those like JRPG remakes that I just absolutely love replaying. And again, I already loved the original Star Ocean 2. I played it back on the PSP and stuff and absolutely loved Star Ocean 2. And even now with this remake, it just enhances my love of the game even more, man. Like, I have it on a PlayStation, I have it on my Nintendo Switch, and this is just such a great Star Ocean game. It's one of the Star Ocean games that, or really just RPGs in general, that I just love going back to and playing. It gives me such a very cozy feeling whenever I'm playing it. It's kind of like one of my comfort JRPGs that I play quite a lot. You know, it just gives you a lot of enjoyment. I love playing through it. The characters are great. The gameplay's even more fun than it was in the original. I know some people would kind of consider it to be a little too button mashy, but I don't care. If it's fun, it's fun, okay? Even if it is button mashy, I don't care. I enjoy that kind of gameplay. The story, once again, it's still very much enjoyable, very fun. The music is great. Again, Star Ocean: The Second Story Arc is like a perfect way to remake a game or remake a JRPG without losing a lot of the core elements of the game, you know what I mean? And it's just an all-around fantastic entry, and I feel like that these guys did a fantastic job with this remake and really bringing this game to life. The only critique I might have is that I wish they did make new pixel art or sprite for the characters, but I understand that probably would have taken a lot of time and a lot of money to produce and to, you know, do all that stuff. And so, you know, I understand it. And don't get me wrong, the old sprites and character art and everything, it still looks amazing. It's just that it would have been nice if they had that little bit of extra effort put into it. But, you know, all the new additions and all like the character art, the new character art, and everything that they put, every like quality of life adjustments and features and stuff that they added to this game was absolutely perfect. And again, all it really did is just enhance my experience and love for the game even more. And I would love for like Star Ocean 3 or something to get a remake. If that game gets a remake, man, that would be an absolute dream come true. Please make it happen, Square or Tri-Ace. Whichever one of you guys can actually make that work, please do so. Or heck, even give us like the Lost Star Ocean 2 sequel. Yeah, believe it or not, there actually was a sequel. I believe it was called like Blue Spear. And it only came out in Japan for the Game Boy Color of all places, which is super weird. But I would love to see them remake that game as well if they can, because it actually is a sequel to Star Ocean 2. So I would love to see either one. But personally, if I had to pick Star Ocean 3 remake, please just let it happen. And yeah, that's pretty much all the games that I have for you guys for today. These are just some of the JRPGs I've been taking the time to play for a little bit. Yeah, I mean, that's just my experience with each and every one of them. You guys can actually let me know what games you've been playing or JRPGs you guys been playing and enjoying recently in this new year of 2025. So yeah, I hope you guys have a pretty good day. Hope you guys enjoy yourselves. This was your boy Kazak, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.